Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go.
And we're live. Welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all for joining. Today, as always, y'all know I'm always bringing y'all somebody that I'm extra excited about. And I need y'all to get just as excited as I am because I bring y'all high quality people. And these are some of the people who pour into me on a daily basis and have helped me throughout my own growth journey. So today, I'm bringing you guys one of my former coaches, Mr. Derrick Lomax, who we lovingly refer to as D-Lo. Welcome with us. How are you doing today, Derrick?
And I am doing stellar. No complaints.
Awesome. So, in addition to the brief intro that I gave, letting everyone know who you are to me and how I found you, give us a intro of yourself and let us know what you have going on at current.
You broke up a little right there. Can you repeat that for me?
Give us a brief intro of yourself and let us know what you have going on at current.
Okay. All right. My name is Derrick Lomax. I reside in San Antonio, Texas. I have been a chef for about 30 plus years, various locations, Houston, St. Louis, and back home in San Antonio. Um, that's about all I do, really. And then the things that when I'm not working, I'm either working out with my trainer or hiking or running or riding. And my goal is to ultimately do a triathlon. And I have something slated in August to do my first sprint triathlon. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. And you see how humble he is. He just conveniently skipped over how many lives he pours into on a daily basis being a coach. But we'll just go ahead and let it rock around here. We'll let it slide. So, one of the things that you always talked about was, and when I tell you guys, he talked about this every day. The question was, what are you going to do today for self care? Now, you guys know around here, we love self-care. We have established that self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It doesn't have to be expensive and you get to enjoy it daily. And so with the question of what are you going to do today for self-care, um, what was the significance of asking that question? What made you ask that every day?
Truthfully, the question was also being asked of myself. I know I would always ask you, what are you going to do for self care today? Because you're always that high energy, goes like take time to stop and actually breathe. Get some oxygen into your body, get everything like flowing. Just gotta have time to smell the roses, but I was actually asking the question to myself as well. And, as I said, I've been a chef for over 30 plus years. It's organized chaos. It can be very stressful, very demanding. You can't be sick. You can't be tired. You can't be whatever. When people come in, they want to sit down. They want to enjoy their food. They could really care less what's going on in the back. And it's my job and it's my responsibility to make sure everybody's on the same page. Everybody has the tools that they need to get the job done, and it's my job to make sure that the servers have what they have, and the guests are being treated as they should be. And the self care part of that is making sure that you don't internalize all that stress, all that that negative energy, because when I was a young manager, it manifested in my body. It I would have extreme headaches. My stomach, I would have those tight stomach pains, and at one time, I thought I had an ulcer because I found blood in my stool, and I realized that all the pressure and all the problems or whatever situation that may arise during the day, I was holding on to that in order for me to not physically feel that. I had to let stuff go. I had to have a form of self-care, of ways of taking care of myself, ways of handling problems and situations, a way of, even though it's chaotic, to kind of have a time like for 30 seconds or a minute to where I can just kind of just calm myself down, relax, realize it's not that bad. I'm not, I'm not trying to save the world. It's just like, this is what we do every day. So I learned that making sure that I take care of myself. Once my cup is full, anything that overflows, then I can give to everybody else. And that's where the question is, what are you going to do for self-care today?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really like that. And now that makes me think to myself, now I need to start asking other people what are they going to do today for self-care so that I can have that reminder to myself. A lot of times when I'm like, I'll text you every now and then and I'm like, D-Lo, your voice was in my head today. And sometimes I think that to myself, what are you going to do today for self-care? But I need to make sure to put a concerted effort to make sure that I'm giving somebody a call, sending somebody a text message, and or shooting somebody a DM to ask, well, what are you going to do today for self-care, so that I'll have that reminder myself, even if it's my second or third one, so that I take that break and take those deep breaths, and also to remind myself that when I am doing my afternoon deep breathing, when I'm doing my breathing exercises, you know what, this self-care is for me right now, but who else can I go ahead and encourage to take that same break that I take, that same break that you reminded me every day to take. And I can pay that forward and make sure someone else takes a break as well. So I really love that. And when you talked about like doing this every day and some of those things that you were starting to internalize, some of the things that you like had to release as a part of your everyday, life be lifing, work be working. Like we all have some of those really hectic days. There's always work to be done, whether you have a 9 to 5, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you work for yourself or others, there is always a ton of work to be done. And there are always things that need to get done. So in that, why is self-care important in not just maintaining the physical body, but maintaining that mental health state?
Oh man, it gives you, I know for me, a sense of clarity, of knowing that it's like it's like when you're talking about, I don't know if you heard about, make your bed or whatever. When you wake up, you make your bed. It gives you a sense of accomplishing something, so it makes the rest of the day easier. If you take that self care for your mentality, whether it be meditation, whether it be prayer or whatever, it gives you that sense of accomplishment. It's like, okay, I said my prayers, I did my gratitude. It's like things can't things can't be as bad as I think they are. You just wake up and just like, man, I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for the leaves. I'm grateful for the wind, or just having that gratitude. I got a roof over my head. And you see homeless people outside, in the streets and the elements. It makes you just like, you know what, things aren't as bad as they are. So it gives that mind that mental clarity of knowing that, you know what, I'm not alone. It could be worse, and it's not as bad as I think it is. So definitely the mental aspect of it is very important. Right now in my life, there was a lot of people at work that are going through situations and they come to me with all their problems, knowing that I can't solve them, but um, I guess they look at me as either a father figure or somebody that has the answer or can lead them in the right direction. And for me to have that mental clarity to be open and be able to help and assist them is something that is very important to me. So you definitely got to make sure that you pour into yourself physically, but definitely mentally, because the mental battle can be a toll on your body as well, more than the physical.
Yeah, that is for sure. That is for sure. Sometimes when we go to neglect the mental health portion, some of us will stay in the gym. I y'all know that's not me, but some folks, will stay in the gym working really hard on their physical body, but not paying attention to mentally what are all of the things coming in from all different directions, and not realize the same way that you would go to the gym. You're going to do your reps so that you can strengthen those muscles, and then you're going to put the weights down, leave them there, and walk away. But a lot of times we don't realize how many emotional weights that we've picked up, picked up, picked up, picked up, picked up. And then we leave and we're just walking around carrying it, carrying it, carrying it. And we never think, how ridiculous would someone look walking out of Planet Fitness, or, if you're rich like that, you walking out of Lifetime Fitness or whatever gym, if we saw someone walking out with the barbell after they were done with their squats, like, everybody in the room would stop and say, "What are you doing?" Like, you have to put that down, put it there for someone else.
That's
And you've gotten your use of it, but no, you don't just show up at a restaurant and slam your two dumbbells on the table when you get there. And sometimes that's the mental picture that I have of what it's like when we put all of those weights either in a backpack or in our purse, or we just toss it over on our back, or we carry all those weights in our hands. And this time I'm talking about the mental and emotional weights. We're carrying all that stuff around, not realizing how heavy it is, because it's just, you don't feel that physical pain. And when we start to lead our lives in that way, where we're moving through just carrying all of these heavy things that are mentally heavy, that are emotionally heavy, sometimes that are spiritually heavy, not realizing how those things manifest in our body. Some of the things that you talked about earlier, messing up our gut health. Sometimes not being able to sleep. You're just, laying there in the dark, and it's like, I'll go to sleep when I get sleepy, not realizing, you haven't taken that time for self-care. You haven't taken the time to wind down.
Yep.
So your mind is still at 2 o'clock p.m. when it's 2 a.m.,
Yep.
So yeah, that's really important.
That's good. That's good. Hearing you say that, I know when I have someone, and I just bring up work because I'm always out. Most of the time I'm always working. Um, I tell people, like, the four walls are like your safe space. Like, whatever you do outside the doors or whatever, that's you. Use this time for your safe space to come in. Forget about what's going on, because when you go outside, it's going to be right there. Just like you say with the weights, you're going to take them. If if you take the weights, just like your mental challenges or whatever, you just like, you're carrying a heavy load. So I do um, um, create a place to where people, when they come to work, it's like, you know what, just leave all that stuff outside. When you come in, have fun, do whatever you got to do, because when you do go outside, it will be waiting right there for you. And that's something I pass on to the people that work for me.
That's really awesome. I definitely know that it makes a difference when you have good leadership, when you're in a 9 to 5 situation, when you're in, even if you're an entrepreneur. This is really for everybody. The work environment that you're in, even if you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, the environment that you're in when you're doing your day's work, that makes a big difference with how much you can carry for how long, and whether or not you're even carrying things that don't even belong to you. And just that, I love hearing that you intentionally create like a happy and healthy work atmosphere, because so many times we associate like work with, it's just work. However, I'm feeling that's how I'm going to show up, as opposed to work being a safe space. Um, like I've never heard it put that way. And I really love that. Just thinking to myself, jobs that I've had in the past, or employers that I've been with in the past, what would the day have been like if, it was already in my head that, work is a safe space. I can go in and I can enjoy the work that I'm doing. I can enjoy the social environment of the people that I'm around, because everyone is going to come here. We're going to leave our stuff outside, and when we get inside of the workplace, we're just having a good time doing what we came here to do, with that feeling of accomplishment. We're able to engage one another. And, no matter where you turn, there's someone who's ready and willing to help you with anything that you have going on, if there are any areas where you do need help with your job throughout the day. So yeah, like huge shout out to you for that. And like really big kudos. I can just only imagine if we had leaders around the world. And you know what? Let's just start at home first. If we had leaders around our country that was the first intention in how to execute, how to make the numbers, how to make the metrics, how to make the customers happy, that trickle down effect, I could only imagine how much more positivity we would have just flowing when you're able to serve and be serviced by people who they're like, yeah, no, like I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to be here. And that definitely makes a difference in the receiving end for what people are getting from us while we are working. That's for sure.
Yep, yep, most definitely. And as I'm hearing you talk, I mean, either if you feel that you don't have a safe environment at work or at school or at home or whatever, one of the tools you can use is by creating boundaries. Creating boundaries that you find that work for you. It's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. It's something that, depending on your personality, it's hard for some people because they want to be helpful and thinking that they're helping out the person, but it may be a detriment to that person, by you just saying yes for whatever reason. Sometimes you have to say no and stick with it, and creating those boundaries is definitely a form of self care and will definitely help you mentally. And once people know that you have those boundaries, then that kind of just eases the burden and eases that mental fatigue that you may have because of the lack of boundaries that you may have, or the lack of the ability to say no. Does it take time to build up to that? Yes. And once you're self-aware and understand that, you have that personality that always says yes and doesn't have boundaries, and once you start building up those muscles to say no and have boundaries, your life will be a whole lot easier and a whole lot better. Will you face more challenges? Yes, you will, but you'll have those tools to be able to navigate through those easily.
That is 100% facts. Now, if you guys missed the Boundaries and More episode with Jazz Abraham, I need you guys to go back a few episodes. I think it was like episode 17 or 16. Go back in the playlist, check out that Boundaries episode if you need to dive more into boundaries, what they are, and how to use them. That is one of the tools that we talk about around here a lot. One of the things that we talk about in Everybody Can't Go, the book, one of the things that we talk about in the workshops, I literally cannot get through. I can't get through anything
All
without
right.
talking about boundaries because they are so important to how you allow yourself to be treated, and also in how you're able to show up in the world better for other people. Even if you don't want to set up boundaries for yourself, by studying what boundaries are, healthy boundaries, and how to use them, it also helps you to be able to show up for others in the ways that they need, and or even so that you can be neutral. Sometimes we don't realize the places where we may be overstepping other people's boundaries. And doing that research and learning, sometimes you're able to see the places where you may not be trying to upset a person, but once you learn a bit more about yourself and learn a bit more about others, you're able to see those places where it's like, nope, don't step right over there. I'll just stand here and be stationary. So there are so many ways that having boundaries, exercising boundaries, even taking the first step of learning what boundaries are, what healthy boundaries are. And like once you dive into that, there are so many improvements that it makes in all of the avenues of your life, because it touches so many things that we don't notice until we take the time to look into it, and it's like, oh, what's this boundaries thing? And then also, I will remind you guys, the reason why sometimes I'll go ahead and throw in their healthy boundaries is because at this point I feel like boundaries is becoming a buzzword. And so I definitely see it a lot where people are like, oh, that's a boundary for me. And it's like, no, you just put the label boundary on something that is an unhealthy action. And you need to do a bit more self-reflection so that you can improve in that area. So that is why I encourage you guys to consistently research boundaries and what healthy boundaries look like. Because one, fact check me. Please fact check me. I want you to. And I want you to, study yourself so that you are getting the proper definition of what boundaries are. Because just like I'm telling you guys what boundaries are, how it works, there are, I'm sure, gurus all over the place that are telling you what boundaries are, how to use them. And, when all this stuff gets mixed up into one pot, if we aren't paying attention to who we're allowing to pour into us, the places where we're getting our information, and not, fact checking against other sources, sometimes that label, it just gets slapped right on something. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought up boundaries for sure. That is one of the
I
major
mean,
aids that.
I mean, it's most definitely. I mean, it's on your shirt. Everybody can go. I mean, there's a reason, Everybody can go. Some people are just not there. It's not their season, for your mental well-being. Some people are just not in the right place for you at that time. They're people come and go in your seasons. They may be a step back, they may be a step ahead, and maybe they leave you for whatever reason. Eventually, you'll catch up, and then you move on to somebody else. But don't take it as whatever. Just take it as it's just that it's not that person's season.
That is so true. That is so true. And yes, y'all know everybody can go. I remind y'all on the weekly, I remind y'all on the daily. And I also remind you guys that boundaries is a part of that. And, before, I tell folks all the time, before we get to that stage where it's like, I do got to go ahead and cut you off, there are conversations and boundaries set in place. And other folks have the choice whether or not they will stay in your life. And you have the choice on whether or not people will stay in your life that are loving, caring, and helpful toward you, so that you're able to participate in mutually beneficial relationships. So that I'm glad we were able to go in that direction. So when we talked about boundaries a bit, and talked about the physical, mental, and emotional ramifications of why self-care is needed, and some of the things that you've experienced that caused you to start, shall I coin it, the D-Love self-care movement. Was there a specific scenario or instance in your own life that it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, or a like a specific scenario that caused you to adopt that
Man,
self care daily?
I I I think I'm not that I think I know. I, the environment that I grew up in, my parents, especially my mom, was always. I mean, she's a very spiritual person, and in a sense, the self care or the not how can I put it? Them not my parents not knowing the terminology that we're using now. It was just part of the way I grew up. So it was something that it just finally awakened, I guess, when we came together in community, through BU. That I was like, oh, okay, I see this. It finally clicked in me to where, like, this makes sense. Now I understand. And through taking the disc assessment, it helped me to understand who I am, and then I was able to kind of incorporate the things that, as I grew up, incorporate them and give them a name of self-care, boundaries, saying no, your mental health. I was able to attach words and terms to the things that my parents um, kind of just had in our family environment.
That's
That
really
makes sense.
awesome. Yes, it does. And I'm actually surprised, coming from my own experience, growing up with like self care, it wasn't a thing. So that makes me excited to hear that it literally never would have occurred to me that self care has been built into the upbringing of some of my counterparts. And that also gives me the idea to make sure that, as I start my own family, let me make sure I build some self care into this schedule. It's not just
Yes, most definitely.
like I
Yeah,
said
you have
earlier,
to. I
not
mean, it's
sorry,
no. Go
that's the
ahead.
lag. The lag is messing us up, y'all. You go ahead.
No, it's definitely important because as you, the mother, or is being diligent in your self care mentally and physically and stuff like that, then your kids see you do that. It just kind of it creates that environment. It's like, okay, wow, that's what mom does. Okay, let me do that. And then you start to see as your kids go out, or as I go out, it's like, well, how come such and such doesn't do that? How come they don't do that? Oh, they probably don't do it at home, but why not? It just has you kind of just question those certain things, but it also helps you. It helps you navigate through life a little bit easier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And especially when we're talking about children, they learn things by seeing, not just by hearing. And then, there's a learn by doing, not just seeing. And that definitely puts me in a different perspective of what scheduling and things look like in the household. We're always worried about the things that have to be done. And going back to making self-care a non-negotiable, like it is something that this has to be done. Would you get up and not brush your teeth, not take a shower, not make your bed, not have your self care? And so, getting to the point where that is not just for self, but it's a family non negotiable that everybody in the household has to do that. And I think that would make it a lot easier to keep up with as well, for sure.
Most definitely, most definitely.
So, as far as recommendations that you have for daily self care, what are like your top five faves?
My top five things. So we're talking about waking up. So waking up, got to give gratitude. Gratitude, thank whatever, whatever it is for the day. Definitely. Thank you for waking up. I'm grateful for waking up. I'm grateful for, I'm looking out the window. Grateful for the wind. It's something simple as that. It's hot outside. You don't want to feel that heat, but the wind is blowing. You're like, you know what, man, I'm grateful for that wind. Just giving those little things, just make you looking at the little things like that. What we think is the little things make you appreciate life more. When something really bad happens, you're just like, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought. Breathing exercises, something that I'm working on being more consistent is before I get out of bed is doing the breathing exercise. And that basically helps me control my breath, bring my stress levels down. But it also, is a form of me avoiding medication of high blood pressure because it keeps my blood pressure down. So that even though it's a form of self care for my mental, but it also helps my physical and keeping my blood pressure down. Something else that I do before I go to work, I also do another breathing exercise before I go to work. So that's a form of self care. And getting out and getting sun, um, getting some sun in your eyes, touching the grass, touching the trees, is a form of self care, and that just helps clear my mind and just kind of just gets everything set for the day. So those are just a few things that I do for self care when I wake up and get the day going.
Awesome, awesome. Some of those things I do, and some of those things I need to reintroduce. I know that getting some sun seasonally is like I'll forget every year. Once it starts, the days start getting shorter, and it's a little chilly outside. Up here in the north, we end up it's a little cold outside in those wintertime months. So it's easy to forget before that spring weather breaks to just step outside for a couple minutes, bundle up, of course, but get some sun on your face and gaze off into the distance. And as you were talking about some of those things, like making sure that you get out, get your feet into the grass, do some grounding, going out, like being one with nature, touching a tree, like not just looking, but physically touching a tree, and just taking that breath and noticing what it feels like. If it's something that you've never done before, like y'all, when somebody first told me, like, go just wrap your hands around a tree, hug a tree, and I'm like, what? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I'm like, you know what? I'll try anything. This sounds completely ridiculous, but guess who's gonna go over here and touch this tree? And I just allowed myself to touch the tree and just breathe and close my eyes and began to listen to. All of a sudden, I closed my eyes and birds showed up. And I'm like, wait, have I been hearing that the entire time? But like my mind was blocking it out. So some of
The
these,
mind was blocking it out.
mhm. And it was almost like I could hear it as long as my eyes were closed, and as soon as I opened them, it stopped. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, I hear them. Where are they? And it was stopped. And I'm like, oh, okay. Let me think about the awareness of my body. And so some of these things, you can look to your right, look to your left, make sure nobody's looking when you go try it. But I'm telling you guys, some of this stuff, it sounds like, oh, why would you do that? You won't understand why we do this until you actually go and try it for yourself. Just the feeling of being able to relax. You'll notice that your shoulders will come down. You may notice that you had some chest tightness there that you didn't know about before. Taking those deep breaths through your chest down into the diaphragm and just allowing yourself that time and that breath, allowing yourself to get your feet on the ground, allowing yourself to spend time outside, especially if you work from home. The work from home folks, like, look, how many days in a row have you stayed in the house? How many has it been? So make sure
Yep,
that
yep,
if and when you
yep.
can, get outside.
Well, it's definitely important. Then another form of self care, something that I did not too long ago because my feet were bothering me. And, like I said, I do a lot of running and riding but my feet were really bothering me, having cramps, just being tight. I was kind of hesitant on seeing a chiropractor. I was like, you know what? Let me go see a chiropractor. And that chiropractor unlocked so many things in my body. He's like, you are tense. And I knew it, but I didn't realize it. So I guess what I'm basically is saying, don't be afraid to seek a coach, seek somebody else that has a different perspective than you do. Definitely, self care is also something, when we talk about our mental health, make sure you do your regular checkups, know your numbers when it comes to, if you're like pre-diabetic, or if you have high blood pressure in the family, know where you stand out. Go to the local pharmacy or whatever, get your blood pressure monitor, check your blood pressure. Most women don't know it, but most women have a higher rate of stroke than men. Just know where you at. And as far as men don't like to see doctors at all. You need to go and just get regular checkups, and just know what's going on with your body. Be in tune with your body, not only mentally and physically, because it's all one. It's all in the same. So definitely do that.
Yes, yes, that is for sure. And when you go get that physical, your annual physical, it does also include a few mental health questions, just in case you do need a referral over to a licensed therapist. We are here breaking the stigma. I'm a fan of therapy because your friends don't always know the right answers. And I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm just pouring into you all as a coach. Now, there's a difference between having a coach and some of those things that you need a licensed therapist for. I'm an advocate for both, so that you're able to double and triple that stuff up. Now, if you eat a burger with some cheese on it and some bacon, why can't you learn a little, get a coach, and get that therapist on top of that, so that you can make sure that all around you're in tip top shape. And one more thing that I will remind you guys of, how Derrick said that you need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself in the physical aspect as well. Those yearly checkups, there are some things that you may find out, but things are reversible. When you learn what is wrong within your body and ways to take care of it, just because if you have to take a medication, just because there's a problem, it doesn't mean you have to keep it, unless you decide to pick up that weight and carry it with you, and you just decide that they gave you the meds, so you're just going to stay on them. There are a lot of things that once we know, we can do something different, and those diagnoses are a lot of times able to be reversed, especially if you catch them early. So, as he said, please, please, please take advantage of these annual health exams. Usually, depending on your insurance, don't quote me on it. Shoot me a DM if you got more questions. But usually, you are covered for one that is already a part of your plan. That's a free annual exam that's usually a part of your plan. And so just make sure that you're taking advantage of that. And you know what? Even if you're scared, do it scared. Let somebody know that you need support in being encouraged to go ahead, go in and find out that you are just fine. Because that is what we are hoping for everyone. That is what we are praying for everyone. And even if you do find that everything is not all good, everything is not fine, know that there is a way for it to be fine. But you have to know what the problem is first.
Couldn't have said it better.
Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on with us today, D-Lo. You are one of my faves, of course. Our gentle giant.
No, thank you. I'm definitely like I said before we started, I was just like, "Are you sure you want me on here?" But I'm just gonna give you your I'm just give you your flowers. Just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. Um, it's couldn't happen for a better person. And yeah, just keep being you. Just keep being you.
I definitely will. I can't be too good at being anybody else. And I thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And with
Yep,
that,
I do too.
we will see you guys next week, next Wednesday, and go ahead and take care of that mental health. Let us know what you think in the comments, or if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out and I'll make sure to get you to the proper resource. Have a great Wednesday.